Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love.
Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith.
Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy.
O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love.
For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned.
It is in dying that we are born to eternal life.
We are followers of St. Francis of Assisi, and I love him.
I love the very way that we live out the Franciscan charism.
We're a diverse group of sisters, very talented, not afraid to share any of our talents, and we're not afraid to take risks.
I hope that we will be remembered for being faithful and joyful witnesses to our gospel way of life and for our unstinting service to our mission.
The legacy of the Sisters of St. Francis of Sylvania, Ohio, began on December 8, 1916. On that day, 23 Rochester, Minnesota Franciscan sisters laid the foundation for an entirely new congregation of women religious.
2 words to put before us. One is journey, and the second is transition. From the beginning of our days, we were a transition. We came from another congregation. We developed a new congregation.
The Pioneer Sisters, invited to Toledo by Bishop Joseph Schrems to teach the children of Polish immigrants, were led by 40-year-old Mother Mary Adelaide Sandusky, a woman schooled in the arts and classics, but also gifted with pragmatism and a remarkable strategic vision for her young community's future.
It's very difficult to be a member of the Sisters of St. Francis of Sylvania, Ohio, and not have in our hearts and in our spirit the vision and the presence of Mother Adelaide.
Mother Adelaide's strong vision, matched with a willingness to collaborate and listen, served as a model for successive leadership teams throughout the years. Each team, faced with the issues and challenges of its time, arrived at decisions based on prayer, dialogue, Franciscan values, the congregation's mission, and the common good. The Pioneer Sisters taught in St. Benedict's School on Dexter Street. Their first convent was St. Hedwig, a small neighborhood house where they endured cramped quarters, bitter cold, and meager resources. Despite the hardships, vocations flourished, and within a year, Mother Adelaide began searching for a permanent home for her growing community. She traveled to inspect a farm in then remote and rural Sylvania, and according to Mother Justinian, when the rented motor car stuck in the mud and would go no further, Mother Adelaide declared, "This is the place." The Hitler family farm included a small farmhouse, 2 barns, and a hen house. The first new building Mother erected in 1917 was St. Francis Hall. It had a dormitory wing, a chapel, and no foundation due to World War I shortages. Early on, the sisters experimented with several farming trades to supplement their modest finances, raising turkeys and chickens, making apple butter, tending a dairy herd, and picking berries, until the artist in Mother Adelaide finally rejected agriculture and famously declared, "I don't want a farm, I want a park." That statement still continues to influence the destiny of the 89 acres. To stabilize acres of sandy soil, Mother Adelaide acquired 1,000 evergreen seedlings from the Ohio Department of Agriculture. The sisters followed the planting directions exactly.
Plant the seedlings 6 inches apart. Space the rows 2 feet apart. After 2 years, move out 2 trees and leave 1. Continue until all trees are comfortably spaced.
Years later, Mother Adelaide wrote, "This venture has succeeded far beyond our fondest hopes."
I hope we will be remembered for the beauty we created on our campus and in the lives of the people we met.
Generations of sisters witnessed the transformation of the farm into the center of welcome and reflection, peace, and beauty it has become.
Everyone that comes to our grounds tells us how peaceful and joyful it is.
As the community's needs surfaced and changed, more buildings appeared. St. Agnes Hall, the Portiuncula, Sarah Hall, Our Lady Queen of Peace Chapel, and others. Many linked by the iconic cloister walks and topped by the orange-tiled mission roofs. Mother Adelaide's various trips to Europe yielded art treasures, ceramics, tiles, paintings, tapestries, lamps, and ironworks. These eventually found homes in the buildings which sprang up across the campus.
I hope we'll be remembered for the beauty we bring into the world and the beauty of living lives of Franciscan joy.
Within the first 5 years, the sisters' educational ministry quickly grew beyond Toledo to other Ohio towns, then to Minneapolis, Duluth and Superior, Wisconsin, to Detroit, Hamtramck, and Wyandotte, Michigan, and even to Capistrano, California. By 1930, the sisters were staffing 17 schools.
I hope we will be remembered for the lives that we have touched through our Ministry of Education.
This ministry, teaching, support services, and administration, spanning preschool and kindergarten, special education and tutoring, mission and migrant service, elementary and secondary schools, institutions of higher learning, eventually called upon the talents and dedication of hundreds of sisters. Realizing the essential need for educational centers on campus, Mother Adelaide established St. Clair Academy in 1929 and Lourdes Junior College in 1958 to prepare the community's candidates and sisters for ministry. In 1973, Lourdes Junior College transitioned into Lourdes College, and then in 2011 into Lourdes University.
We know that we have different molecules here, right?
From its earliest task of educating only Sylvania Franciscan sisters, the mission of Lourdes has broadened to educate, inspire, and transform its academic community by means of Franciscan values.
Because you want to ignite the compound.
The St. Francis Early Education Center, later known as Sylvania Franciscan Academy, has also served as a campus and off-campus center for preschool and elementary education. Since 1916, Sylvania Franciscans have staffed and served 120 schools in 11 states.
We opened our hearts and minds to ministries that God was calling us to.
I am very proud of our Sylvania Franciscan sisters because I experience in them a great joy that they have in their ministry to the people of God.
Just as the community's education ministry was gathering momentum, another urgent need emerged. American soldiers returning from World War I brought back with them the Spanish flu, a contagious disease that would eventually kill over 500,000 people. At the desperate request of Bishop Schrems, Mother Adelaide led 5 sisters to the small northwest Ohio factory town of Gypsum, hit hard with the flu. The sisters tended the ill, fed their families, and all 98 people survived.
Whenever there is any crisis, we will respond quickly because we are very generous. We have done that ever since 1916, and I know we will continue to do that long into the future.
Soon after, Mother Adelaide sent Sisters for professional healthcare training, and gradually the community began responding to requests for staffing. From 1930 to 1960, the healthcare ministry blossomed, with the congregation itself often assuming financial risk. Mother Adelaide made these choices to offer service to God's poor, the most neglected and most in need, often in rural, non-Catholic areas without adequate health care. Eventually, hundreds of sisters would serve in diverse ministry roles, from administration to nursing, dietary to clerical, laboratory to physical therapy, and chaplaincy in 21 hospitals across 6 states.
Our sisters will be remembered as Franciscan women who were willing to take a risk, who answered the needs of the local church, wherever that was, and who were involved in compassionate care for the poor and the marginalized.
In 1984, congregational leadership created Franciscan Services Corporation as a vehicle to provide continuity in managing the healthcare institutions, as well as positioning and growing the system more effectively in the marketplace. In 2011, the name changed to Sylvania Franciscan Health, and finally in 2014, the congregation transferred sponsorship of its healthcare ministry to Catholic Health Initiatives, extending the healthcare mission of the Sylvania Franciscans now and into the future. Sylvania Franciscan Ministry also branched into a wide range of pastoral and social services, the arts, social justice, ecology, and the foreign missions. Eventually, the sisters brought their commitment, energy, and talents to serve the people of God in multiple states across the country, in Africa, and in Haiti.
We celebrate life fully, and we bring joy and beauty and meaning to everything that we do.
I am so proud of my Sylvania Franciscan sisters. They minister with a joyful attitude and really show love to God's people.
I see all of us as women who strive to be one heart and one soul, and in that striving to become all that we can be for those that we encounter.
They are women of faith, women of virtue, women of challenge.
I have no one here today for testing with Sister Rachel.
My Sylvania Franciscan sisters are joyful servants of the Lord.
No matter what any one of them does, it is done with her whole heart and with enthusiasm.
We enjoy life, each other, and the ministries we're involved in.
Ministry alone, however, has never completely defined the Sylvania sisters. Their Franciscan spirit continues to call them to be present to each other in community, sharing prayer, offering support and laughter, compassion, listening hearts, and sometimes challenging questions.
Their hearts are all joined with the same commitment to care for one another, to pray for one another, and to be there for one another.
I love being a Sylvania Franciscan sister because of the prayer life, the love and support that I receive.
I love my Sylvania Franciscan sisters because of their fidelity to their vows and to each other and to community.
Our sense of wisdom, compassion, and understanding, and our great sense of hospitality and humor.
Happy birthday! Oh my goodness.
They're my family, full of life, energy, women that care and love each other.
I am proud of my Sylvania Franciscan sisters because we are all women of faith.
Women of wisdom, joy, and compassion.
I love my Sylvania Franciscan community. I hope that we will be remembered for our faithfulness and our humor.
For the relationships we formed with and to the people in our ministries over the last 100 years.
By our prayerfulness, our compassion for the poor,
and our spiritual joy.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord.
For our deep appreciation for the cultural arts, our love of celebration, and our gift of hospitality.
The Sylvania Franciscans will be remembered as joyful, generous, and hospitable sisters, full of grace, love, and wisdom.
I am confident that the sisters will be remembered as happy and prayerful sisters with compassionate hearts.
We look at 100 years of responsible love of our mission. We look at 100 years of multi-ministry, 100 years of women who have stood on their own feet, who have walked hand in hand, who have served in so many different ways.
It is the mission statement of the Sylvania Franciscans that has defined them and continues to shape their service, relationships, and priorities.
Called like Francis of Assisi to live the gospel in joyful servanthood among all people, the Sisters of St. Francis of Sylvania, Ohio, as messengers of peace, commit themselves to works that reverence human dignity, embrace the poor and marginalized, and respect the gift of all creation.
The exciting part about a centennial is the challenge that comes and the energy to drive us forward. It brings the light and the liberty to captives and calls them forward and gives them peace.
I hope that we will always be remembered for our Pax et Bonum.
I've learned from my sisters how to bring a song of joy and love to the lives of all those we meet.
We will continue to be the Sisters of St. Francis of Sylvania, Ohio. We will continue to build our legacy into the future. As we near the 100th anniversary of our founding, will you move into the future trusting in the fire of the Spirit to shape a legacy of hope?
Into the future we go because we believe that we have a future full of hope.
It is said that as St. Francis lay dying, he said to those around him, "I have done what was mine to do. May Christ show you what is yours." The mission of the Sylvania Franciscans, which took shape over 100 years ago, continues to evolve as they seek what is theirs to do. Although the sisters have been gifted by the vision of Mother Adelaide and accomplishments of so many women who have gone before them, the Sylvania Franciscans remain committed to extending their legacy in life, mission, and ministry into a new century.
Our sisters make a new world. We are gospel women. We are called to respond to God's people and all God's creation. And we do this not alone. The journey goes on.